Action.
And go. All right. I mean, I don't know how to do the intros and the outros at all.
Intros are hard, man.
I'm not an opener or a closer. What's up, Teddy? All right. Well, welcome back. We got episode 4.
Episode 4.
Live. Recorded. And today our guest is Erik Casarez.
How's it going?
Nice.
Thanks for having me. It was great.
What's up, dude?
Chilling, man. Just chilling. Working on a lot of home stuff and trying to get back into non-home stuff, like creative stuff.
Yeah.
And trying to make stuff.
There's creativity in the home stuff, I think.
Yeah, it's just not as fun. I mean, it's fun, but it's just not as like, I guess it's for me as opposed to I want to do stuff and like I want feedback in terms of like, hey, I think you should check this out type of stuff.
For sure, yeah. Speaking of checking things out, do you want to talk about like the new idea you want to work on as far as podcasting?
Yeah. So we did cover stories.
Mm-hmm.
We created cover stories, and it's been a long time.
Oh, hey, what's up, bud?
It's been a long time since we've recorded. And I think it's just really hard to, one, like scheduling. I live in Austin. You live in San Antonio. And then on top of that, like getting people to come in, perform, getting someone to record, and then editing. Yeah, it was a production. So I wanted to kind of change things up to be able to talk about music in a way, but also without the performance element of it, to one, open it up to more people who aren't able to perform or don't, have anything to perform. And so, starting mixtape stories, every episode is going to be a different theme in terms of, we're going to do 5 songs for now, at least. 5-song mixtape. We're going to talk about each song individually. We'll go into depth about the song itself, what that song means to that person, how it relates to the specific theme of that episode, and see where it goes from there. I'm just excited about being able to talk about music and talking to people about like music that actually means something to them. Like, it's more than just like, oh, I think this song is really cool, even though it is a big part of it. Sometimes there's a lot of stories within these songs, like, oh, this song reminds me of my friend who passed, or this song reminds me of my dad and going to, baseball games or some shit like that, Yeah,
it's got all those memories attached to it, kind of thing.
For sure. I think that's the whole intention of just being able to kind of explore that with different people and kind of see songs in a different light too. I think that's something I learned through like cover stories, is that like there's songs I just wasn't too aching to, like, just not about, and hearing what it means to certain people. Like, oh, like I'm listening to this differently, and it either makes me, one, it makes me appreciate it more, but 2, maybe it even kind of changes the context to where like, oh, I think I actually kind of like this song.
Yeah. Nice. Hell yeah.
That'd be cool. And just have like a bunch of playlists and just build a library on that and share music.
Yeah, that's the plan too. We want to kind of open it up to more people too. Do you guys know who Dan Ozzie is?
Mm-mm.
He's a writer. He wrote for Alternative Press for a little bit, I think. But he's got a really great book called Sell Out. And he writes a lot about like punk and like pop punk and like the emo of the 2000s. And he writes a lot of like little like zine novellas. And he wrote one called, I can't remember what it's called, but it's 10 songs that basically are different phases of his life. And each chapter is a different song, and in some chapters you barely even hear mention of the song, but it's about like what that song entails for him and it's a memory. So I kind of I like that idea, and I tried doing that too. I started keeping like a song diary where like certain songs that I wanted to see like what this reminded me of, why I like this song, and like when I listen to it, like what I think of. So yeah, I wanted to kind of explore that with other people too, and just see how it goes from there. And it would be cool to kind of turn this even to like a written form where people can submit to different songs for the certain themes and things like that. Maybe even turn that into a zine eventually.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That'd be cool.
Just a little crossover episode.
Yeah, for sure.
We were talking about cover stories a little bit in previous episodes, but that was a good time. I don't know. We had a lot of interesting people come through playing music. Shout out to Brett for all the awesome audio mixing that he did.
Brett gave us a lot of free labor. I feel in hindsight, I'm just like, man, we probably like spent about
got paid in experience.
Yeah, it was a labor of love. I mean, it was just something we wanted to do, right?
Yeah, cool. For sure. Yeah, and I appreciate him a lot. I mean, I appreciate you a lot. I mean, the podcast wouldn't exist without you. But like Brett, like what he was doing, it was nice when we get people to like record with him from that. So like, I'm like, okay, this is the least we can do.
It's kind of working out. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, looking for the logo, just going through the library of all the different artists we've had or y'all have had and like different performances and stuff was really cool to see.
Yeah, you're another person who's a big part of Cover Stories. I mean, the logos, everything. The logos, the social media stuff, like everything is just. It felt cool to be a part of this team, you know, and just like everyone had their niche, but we also were really good collaborators.
Yeah, it was good. I mean, it's kind of worked its way into this. I mean, we're still doing it. We're still just making new stuff and doing different things.
Just finding time now, I think, is the hard part.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, especially with, it was kind of COVID around. That picking up is when things started to get a little more questionable, I guess. Like, I wouldn't bring 5 random people over to my house every week, or it's like, right.
Yeah, man. I think that, looking back, I think this is actually like the 5th year anniversary around this time, 5th year anniversary of our first recording of Cover Stories.
Hell yeah. Put a link to it in there.
Yeah, it's a nice little.
Good. We still have a YouTube channel for that, I think. I don't know.
Oh, yeah.
I was thinking we could like repurpose some of those performance videos because we talked about doing like variety show kind of thing.
Yeah.
Just mixing it up, throw those in there.
Do you know there's a YouTube channel called Stories?
Yeah. It's suspiciously close to like design wise to the Cover Stories one. Have you seen that?
Nuh-uh.
It's like a thick like font, like lowercase font, and it's like the same color scheme. It's like white text on a blue green kind of like background.
I didn't steal it.
I think they stole it, or I don't know if they stole it.
No.
I'm not gonna say they stole it, but they at one point had a different logo that looked less like ours.
Yeah, it's funny because their YouTube channel is slightly older than our YouTube channel, but the podcast is older than podcast, and the Instagram. I'm pretty sure is older than theirs.
Yeah,
but
they're way more popular. So.
They're doing really cool stuff. So it's not even hate.
Yeah,
it's just
not
like
a knock against them. It's strange. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah.
They're like, drop the cover. It's clean.
Yeah. Part of me was
word.
like, wait, did we, like, is this a pipe dream? Like, did we, like, steal this from them and not realize it?
Just gaslighting ourselves now.
Just like doppelgangers of all of us.
That'd be funny, actually.
It's a multiverse.
Yeah.
It's Derek and Jack. Where we at? Going back to the new one. We're going to record an episode after this.
Yeah.
You're doing a double header today. It's going to be fun.
Feels like I'm back in the days of doing that, man. I missed it a lot. I think I listened to a lot of, obviously, like I've always listened to a lot of podcasts. That's what kind of started the original podcast. But hearing some people do it, and especially people starting doing it and being really good at it, it's just like, oh man, I miss doing this. I miss being a part of that, and like, miss interviewing too. I feel like, we got into, like, we watched a lot of Hot Ones, and Sean Evans is such a good interviewer, and then. My favorite thing in the world is like when someone's interviewing and someone says, "Oh, that's a really good question," or it's a question that they've never really been asked before. I feel like in going to journalism school, interviewing was always like my least favorite thing because I was nervous about it, and it's become like my favorite thing. I like it kind of more than the writing, which has always been my favorite part. But being able to like ask those questions, and I remember I was at a festival and with a group of friends who were writing for this collective. And one of them was going to interview a band, and they like wanted to run by me some of the questions, and they were like, "Oh, I was going to ask them when's their next album coming out." I'm like, you don't want to ask them something that you can just Google, or like that's kind of a boring question. I mean, that's something that we can always add after the fact. And I felt like I wasn't even like trying to like that wasn't even in my mindset. But then the more I thought about it, like, oh yeah, like why would like I see these press junkets. Barry, I'm like all over the place right now. Barry did an episode where like there's these press junkets where they're asked the same question over and over again. Yeah. Have you seen that episode?
Yeah.
Like, who's to play the next Spider-Man? Like, every single person's asking that question, and just want to kind of avoid that type of, like journalism or whatever.
For sure. I mean, there's like another person like Nardwar comes to mind.
Oh yeah,
but that's a very one specific kind of thing.
It's
I
like,
guess
this is your life type of shit, man. That's always been like one of my goals in life. Not goals, but just like it would be cool if that could happen. If Nardwar could like interview me and just blow my mind with shit that he knows, like.
That'd be sick.
Are you with the feds?
We can get there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
We'll manifest it.
But yeah, I and since then even, I mean, are y'all familiar with Z-Way? She's
a couple episodes.
Oh, she's great.
Yeah,
she's funny, but she's got a whole bit about like putting the interviewee in like an uncomfortable place, like kind of like Between Two Ferns, but a little bit more like. It's obviously gotcha, but that's kind of the joke. And she'll like turn something and someone will say something like, "Oh, are you saying like," in basically turns into something racist, jokingly for the most part. She's great though, even beyond the bit. Like her questions are very intuitive, and she does her research. And I feel like that's something. Watching her too is just something that I want to kind of like be on top of things. My wife, before we even started Cover Stories, she'd brought up this interview with Quincy Jones for Spin or Rolling Stone. I think it was Rolling Stone. And Quincy Jones was all over the place. Like he was like talking about, jazz in the 70s, and all of a sudden he's talking about something that happened in the 90s, and like talking about Fresh Prince and going back and forth and all these different topics. And the interviewer, I don't remember who they were, the journalist's name, but they were just on top of it. Like Quincy Jones would mention something, it's like, oh, and then what about this record for that same person? And then they shift focus, and then he would talk about, like, well, what about this? And it was really cool to have somebody just be in the know and be prepared for all of that. So that's something I really want to kind of push forward too. And that's going to be kind of the challenge with mixtape stories, and just there's 5 songs as opposed to just one song that we're talking about. So being able to kind of find some synergy there is going to be fun.
Yeah, kind of like linking them all.
Yeah.
Like a through line for them all.
For sure.
That'd be fun. I mean, I guess it depends too on like who's putting the list together.
Yeah.
It could just be like 5 random out there things, or it could be, well, I guess it's like somewhat themed, right? So they should hopefully stay within that.
Yeah. I love this idea of like finding some similarity in things that aren't similar because of the theme.
Yeah.
I've thought about like different ideas, and I'm open to like ideas too. Like I'm not just, I want to hear what other people think in terms of doing playlists, but like I want to do a World Star playlist where if you're in a fight and you're getting your ass kicked, what's the song that you need to hear to like realize, like, because you hear World Star if you're in a fight, like you're like, oh no, I'm not going to be embarrassed on it.
I'm not going out like this.
Yeah. So what's the one song that if you hear, it's going to like give you your Popeye spinach,
Yeah. That's cool. And that'll be like, I guess like the kind of guest you'll have would be anybody who listens to music, essentially. Like, anybody who writes music or like stuff like that.
Definitely. I definitely want to go beyond just like interviewing artists or musicians. We did that with Cover Stories with the B-sides episodes. Yeah. And that's a shout out. I feel like that deserves a shout out to Adam and Brent, because they were talking about wanting to do an episode, but they didn't want to perform. Yeah. So we came up with the B-sides idea, which I felt like that was in some ways a little bit more easier to digest. And also a little bit, just a lot more easy to set up because of not having the performance. Yeah.
For sure. We had like 60 episodes?
Close to that. It's
something.
Like, yeah.
A lot. It was a good amount.
Yeah. My goal was 10. And like, so yeah.
Hell yeah. We did it.
Yeah. But yeah. I'm really excited about it. I'm really excited just to talk to people. I think one of the things that I wasn't expecting from Cover Stories was just learning about songs from artists I either didn't know or artists I just knew but just wasn't into. Like we had Maddie Sky talk about Casey Musgraves, and I know who Casey Musgraves is, but I never like really did a deep dive. And by the end of my research for that episode, I was like, oh damn, I'm a fan. Like this is really good. And we've had like other artists, that I just wasn't, I can't even think of the names right now, but like Julia Jacqueline is one who like I didn't know, and like from there I became a fan.
Yeah, nice. Yeah, it's always good when you can learn stuff while doing something.
Oh yeah. This is one thing that I feel I really regret not knowing about in high school. When you're tasked to do like these research projects, like I would just do on whatever I thought was easiest. And in college, I kind of learned like, no, if you actually do something that you're interested in, like it makes it less work because you're actually interested in it. And going down these like YouTube rabbit holes and podcast rabbit holes and everything, I think it's fun to kind of dive from there.
Yeah.
Sorry, my dog Teddy is.
He's got a little foam thing.
Oh no! Beep. We'll have the please stand by screen.
I want to draw him with the technical difficulties.
Oh
where
yes,
something.
please do that. That'd be so sick. Those drawings of him, like I said earlier, are just so cool to see.
Oh, thanks so much.
I want to see stickers every time I see him. Like
yeah, my Teddy Munson, him as Eddie Munson.
Yes,
from
that was the
Things
one.
is my favorite. Yeah. I had done one before where I just drew him in like the same stance, and then I did it digitally. So I just like drew clothes over the same, and I was planning on doing those as stickers, but it just felt kind of boring. So I wanted to like change it up, and like I feel like I've gotten better at drawing from my own pace, in the sense that like there's stuff I didn't think I could draw, and I'd never like tried it because I thought it would be too hard. So now I've got a sketchbook to where like there's a bunch of bad drawings in there.
Perfect.
So, and it's something that like I'm sure that's like something that sounds obvious to like an artist, you as an
I
artist.
deal with that. I have the blank page. I'm like, okay, this sketch needs to be perfect. This sketch needs to be the best drawing. I'm like, stop. I just start scribbling and making a mess. Like, just have fun, just let loose. Like you said too, like if I just lean into it and take the time and be patient with it, like, okay, now I'm having fun. Now I'm not like putting so much pressure on myself.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, I feel like when I learn a new skill, I lose some of an old skill, and I feel like I used to draw a lot better when I was younger, and I feel like I don't know what skill I learned in the last 30 years, and then now I've gotten back to, I'm like, okay, what skill am I losing out on by getting slightly better at this?
Your 3-point jump shot's going down.
Yeah, that's what it is. But no, I think that, like, you know, having, I think a lot of it is the patience and the time, and I feel like post-COVID, I feel like there's a bunch of stuff that the silver lining to COVID is you have more time to do stuff and kind of work on a craft. And now I feel like there's just so many things going on that, like, I have the time, I'm just not using it. And the time is there. It's just hard to, like, really grapple down. I feel like TikTok, as much as I like TikTok, it's an addiction to where someone said, I don't know if I have ADHD, but this conversation makes me feel like I do. But someone said that, like, the best thing you can do if you have ADHD is to not sit down. And I've realized that, like, like if I sit down and take a break, I go on TikTok, it's done. An hour later, I'm still on TikTok.
Yeah, it's easy to do. I mean, I didn't have Instagram on my phone for a long time because I didn't want to just be out, like, doing things and just stare at my phone all the time.
Yeah.
I mean, it helps. It's just not having it, like, on there. Like, if you have the ability to, like, separate it, I just had it, like, on my iPad, which I would just only use at home.
Oh, yeah.
So if I'm on my phone, like, I have my phone out in public, I'm not just stuck to this. I don't know.
Yeah.
I wonder how much of that, like, because we think about, like, we all grew up in, like, we're all millennials, and we grew up in a time where you had to be on a computer to do that kind of stuff, like MySpace. And when you were out, you didn't have the luxury of just pulling it up in your pocket unless you had a BlackBerry and you had to, like, squint to, like,
I wasn't that cool. I never had a BlackBerry.
But yeah, I think about, like, I don't know. I mean, it's obvious because, like, it's great that things are, like, more convenient, but I don't know what's the pro con, like, what's the plus or minus on that, because there are obviously a lot of pros to not having that out there, but also there's a lot of pros to, like, if you're lost, you can just go out and, like, get out of there.
I think the instant gratification of people, it's like, well, now you can give me work faster now. It's no, please give me time to work on this. Please give me something. But yeah, so there's a balance of it.
Yeah, it's funny because I used to write for The Current, and I would often wait to the last minute before it was due to be put into, like, print for the next week. And there was one time I waited to the last minute, and I went to, like, it was like an emo night or something, and I literally, like, wrote on a note on my iPhone, like, the article. And unfortunately, it was only, like, 100 words, 110 words. But still, I'm, like, in the corner, like, typing up this thing while everyone's, like, having a good time. And I'm just like, this is great that I can do this and not be here. But also, like, I feel like the meme, like, they don't know I have an assignment.
They don't know I'm writing right now for
The
Current. Yeah, that's kind of cool. I mean, it kind of puts you in, like, the zone or a space to write as it's happening. So that could offer a different experience.
Yeah.
So it was kind of cool. But yeah, I definitely put things off to the last minute too. I'm like, whoops. But please give me more time so I can wait till the last minute to do it.
So I could think about doing this more.
Yeah.
I think that pressure, I feel like it's a millennial thing where, like, the pressure, like, creates the diamond of it all. Like, it's something that, like, if I would have written this a day before it was due, I don't know if it would be as good as if I'm, like, pressured to have to do this, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I never really had that pressure with, like, writing or stuff like that, but I feel like somewhat translates into video and stuff. Kind of like the one where, like, the real estate thing we were doing recently. It's like, but that part of that is, like, waiting because they're supposed to send us assets or whatever, and it's just like, all right,
well, I'll wait till I have everything. Yeah.
The worst part about that, I'm sure, is, like, working as somebody who does commissions and things. Like, I'm sure if you are able to produce in that time frame, they kind of start expecting that, like, oh, like, I can give it to him 3 hours before it's due.
Here's a second one. Here's 2 more.
Yeah. It's like by you succeeding, it's made you, like, your job harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I forgot where I read that, but it's something about, I think it was, like, locksmith, like how there's, like, a point of, I guess, I don't know if diminishing returns is the point or the right term, but, like, they get so good at it, like, they can do it, like, quickly.
Yeah.
So they charge, like, a higher amount of money or whatever. So they come out there and it's like 30 seconds and it's like pop done. Like, oh, well, I feel like just kind of, you're doing like little amount of work and giving a bunch of money. So like, I think at some point they started, or some people or whatever, maybe a specific case, they just kind of like take their time, like they fiddle around with it and like make people like psychologically feel like they're getting their money's worth, I guess, in a way. But I don't know, it's just weird. Just like the rate at which we can turn over work affects like the perception of it even.
Yeah, I feel like that's something that I kind of admire about Gen Z, is they're calling out the bullshit of like the whole like corporate culture of things of doing these kind of things. Just because I'm good at my job and I can do it in half the time of someone else doesn't mean that you should give me more work to double what I'm doing for the same pay, you know?
Yeah, exactly. That's the thing. We're doing twice the work, but still get the same amount of money.
Yeah.
Who's this good for?
Yeah. Who's this really good for? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll live to see the end of capitalism. I don't think so. I mean, it's got a lot of work.
Yeah.
Societal collapse, maybe, but I don't know.
For a moment. But yeah, the way, like, it's kind of, I'm opening my eyes to that too. Like, I get done with my projects for the day, and I'm like, well, can I go home? Like, I don't really need to be here till 5. But I've been at places where, like, well, you got to stay because everybody else is here too. Mm-hmm. It's like, well.
Yeah, if you leave, then they're all going to feel bad.
Yeah. What am I supposed to do? Send everybody home? Like, you could.
Everyone's just chilling.
You could, yeah, honestly.
I think that I'm lucky in my current job in that like it's easy to find things to do that need to be done eventually anyway, so you can get kind of a head start on things. Because there are some days where I'm like pushing a little bit of overtime even, you know, not that I'm required to, but just like I want to get it done that day. So it's nice to have a clean slate for when those days happen, to where like I can really focus on those things. And if I have a day that's a little bit easier, I can kind of work on other stuff that's due at a later time too.
Yeah. I'm finding like, what am I trying to say? Like I had a day where I was caught up on a project and it wasn't due for like another 3 days, and my mindset was like, okay, well, I'm done. I can relax, or can I go home? And then it was like, well, I actually have more time now. Let me go back to the project, like try another version and push it a little further. And it's just weird that some days I'm like procrastinating and like I want to go home, I'm done with this. But then it's like, well, let me tinker in on this and I'm gonna zone in and like woo, get it all done. So it's weird.
Ebbs and flows.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's something I've learned too. Like working when I first started working in like I guess corporate America, in the sense of like working in offices and things, like everyone kind of not phones it in on Friday, but everyone definitely is not like does not want to be there. Like it's even the people who are like gung ho about work, just like I'm ready for this to be over.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of validating that like, okay, I'm not a piece of shit for feeling this way.
I've just been like not brainwashed, but like to a sense at work, like I have to stay, like, you know.
Yeah, 4-hour work week, or 4-day work week.
4-day work week.
4-hour work week.
From like 9 to 2 with an hour lunch.
The siesta in the middle.
Yeah, and a nap. Yeah.
If it works, it works.
It worked. I think it would.
Yeah. I mean,
Sweden does it. Or there's a couple
a
of countries
country,
that do, yeah.
I forgot, somewhere recently, I think in the U.S. was like experimenting with a 4-hour work week. Or I keep saying 4-hour. I think that's a book. Like a Tim Ferriss book. 4-day work week.
4-hour work week would be sick.
Yeah.
It's probably like Portland or like Seattle, somewhere like.
Probably right.
For sure.
Either way. I mean, it's like we're there technologically. It's just like the system we have. It's like, just like, oh, you can do more stuff. Just keep doing it. Like,
Yeah.
We could get the same amount of work done with one free day every week.
No, it's the way it's always been, and it's got to stay that way.
It's tradition.
No!
It's also more like, it's more productive because you are only, like, that's what I think one of the studies was saying, is that like 5-day work week, there's a lot of lulls for everybody. Like even if you're somebody who, you know, is a bootlegging hard work or whatever, you know, like even those people, there are situations where maybe an hour a day, they're kind of just going to get water, things like that, which you should. Like, I'm not trying to say like I'm not Amazon about it, you know, but
they're
like
right here peeing, wasting time.
But if you're like, you know, if you've got less days, those days tend to be more productive from what I've read or seen.
Yeah, I mean, and you get more recharge, like more energy kind of thing. But they talk about that a little bit in this book that I read called Bullshit Jobs, where it's like a lot of people are just kind of filling time, like kind of like, you know, like I'm done, like I nothing to do for this next hour, like can I go? No,
yeah.
But it's just like
stay for
the
the
bosses
culture.
are like, look busy. Yeah, it's like do something, like go sweep. Like, I don't know. Okay.
Oh yeah, working retail.
But just filling time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, retail. Yeah.
Oh,
Just
definitely.
like what was it like? Line up like when I worked as a cashier at Best Buy or Circuit City. It was just like
Do the end caps.
yeah,
At the end, like,
I
yeah.
can only do this so many times in a day.
You want me to stand now?
Yeah,
Like, yeah.
If someone takes a gum, I'm just gonna be right behind him and push it up. Like, what do you want me to do?
Now I'm harassing the customer.
Yeah,
like, I have to help you, please. Please pick something.
Yeah, I don't miss retail.
No.
Yeah, that's one thing I feel that as much as like I've been lucky with a lot of jobs. I've had great bosses the past 5 or 6 years. I've been working, and it's made even a job that I didn't like. It's made them a little bit better than they could have been. But retail is something I don't ever want to have to go back to. I mean, I will if I have to, but like just the abuse that you get from people and the like. Everything's so arduous. Standing up for that long, and in some cases when it's slow, especially like nowadays, it's slow. Like, what are you doing? Like, what am I supposed to do?
It's a good like growing pains for your like late teen, early 20s to just learn about the world. Like, I forget where I was. I picked something up, and it was just like 2 young dudes like inside, just like hanging out, and like okay, like that's a fun part of the job.
Yeah,
We just
yeah.
went to- it was we went to the Best Buy outlet, so I didn't even know it was there off like Days of Holiday or something. Walk in, the store's dead. It's just like like the 2 dudes in their Best Buy polos just like sitting on the washer, just like, hey, here for a pickup? Like, yeah, like I'm here. Like, okay, like, all right, that's cool.
I will say, working at Best Buy, I do kind of value just because I knew a little bit about cameras before I started there. And by the time I left there, like I felt, one, you have to know in order to sell these cameras because people can call bullshit like right away. But also it made me kind of develop a photography hobby. And now I like can, I know my stuff to where I can do my own research. It's not like the most in-depth stuff, but I at least know what I like and what I need to buy in order to do what I like.
Yeah, like as far as gear wise, like low light, like you know, like live band photography, right?
Oh yeah. I've been trying to get back into it. I did a little bit for this website I used to write for, and the biggest thing is I want to get into shows for free. So like that was my draw. Like, you didn't even have to pay me. I'll just normally this is like $40 an hour, and this ticket is $50-$60. So I'm saving that much money. But which isn't to say you shouldn't pay your photographers. You definitely should. But yeah, I actually just did. I saw Danny Brown a couple of weeks ago.
Nice.
I've been taking photos and writing for Co-op Radio in Austin, a really great radio station, very great community. And I haven't written as much as I want to, but I want to start getting back into it. But yeah, I went to a Danny Brown show, and it was really cool to be there for free and take cool photos.
That sounds cool.
That's cool.
Man, I want to see Danny Brown.
He's fun. He's so fun live, and he's just it's like I feel like a lot of like this era of rappers are like their shows are almost like rock shows. There are like there's mosh pits, and then there's like there's crowds, there's pogoing and stuff like that, and it was a good show overall. I felt old though. Like I felt there was a bunch of X's on hands, and like I was like, oh, there's a bunch of teenagers here. I assume teenagers.
Or adults with teenage mentalities.
Yeah.
But where is it at, the show?
Empire in Austin.
I don't think I've been there.
It's cool. It's a cool little. It's the cool venue. The only thing that sucks is if you get there late, like unless you are like a pro at getting through the crowd to get to the front, like you're stuck. We saw Guar there one year, and it was great, but we could not get too close because it's just. I mean, Guar fans are like a lot bigger guys there, so it's hard to get through. You can't squeeze through. What were you guys' like back in the day going to shows? What was you guys' techniques to like try to get closer?
Because everybody smelled like BO and just like push through.
Just fart to like open up a spot and just go for it.
I was usually being dragged along. I'm not really a front guy.
Oh yeah, I always waited for a guy with his tiny girlfriend, because they would always move for the tiny girlfriend, and I would get behind him like I was with them.
Like when an ambulance flies
Yeah,
past.
yeah. I got the police escort to the front. That was always my go-to. Or like it was either that or there's that asshole who just like pins through, like just bowling balls through. So I could get behind them, and like no one's gonna like mess with that guy.
Yeah, it's like, I know him.
Yeah, either that or I'm just like, they can't see me.
Or just wait till the song starts and you just kind of start on one end and just move up and like end up. That happened when I saw Turnstile in Austin. I was like at the bottom right, songs played, ended up like going through the middle, ended up front, just like, oh, it was wild.
It's funny because I feel like, I don't know if it's just because I'm older, I don't recognize those as much, like those opportunities, but I do remember like, especially going to like hardcore shows and like you could find your opportunities, like, know, just when this part happens in the song. And I feel like, I don't know, it's like post-COVID or if it's just because I am farther back than I normally am now, but I don't see those opportunities as much.
Oh, yeah.
I did see, there's a TikTok someone posted, at Toadies were playing at Fiesta a couple of days ago. Do you see that this woman brings out the junk and is hitting this guy that's like...
She's
like,
looking for him.
Yeah, he's like moshing into her.
I was like, oh, that's funny. And then I saw the Spurs jersey. I was like, oh, that was here. Cool.
It's the most like Budo San Antonio thing I've ever seen.
She's just like, what?
It's funny because I saw Toadies. I've seen them a few times, but the first time I saw them, my brother took me to see them. I had like a bad day. He's like, I bought you a ticket for Toadies. Come with me. And it was at Sunset Station. And there was these, I was early 20s. There was these girls that were like my age. And I think they had like a little sister who was like a teenager. And the girls had beers. And then there was an older woman, probably in her like 40s. And, you know, it's a fucking rock show. Like, you're going to get pushed around. The girl spilled the beers on the older woman. She lost her shit. Like, she just was, it's like, you're at a fucking rock show.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, you know, like.
People are going to be sweaty. No deodorant.
Yeah.
Like.
Hey, old ladies, dude. What are they doing? What are they doing at rock shows, first of all? Remind me of, like, I went to see Dillinger Escape Plan, like, for their, like, farewell tour. They played at Paper Tiger. It's just like one of those shows where it's just so packed, like you can't move. Like I'm pretty sure I could have like picked my feet up and just been stuck between the people like next to me because it was just like the crowd was just swaying. That was good. I don't know, but that was nasty too. It was really very sweaty, sneaky time.
I went to go see when Refused got back together. They played Fun Fest, and I went with 5 of my friends. None of us had seen them because they'd all broken up before we really got into them. So we're like, this is like the highlight of our life at this point. And there's 5 of us standing like shoulder to shoulder. And we're like, they're coming on, they're doing sound check and everything. I see them, like, I'm putting my keys in my pockets. I mean, like, it's outside. Some of my friends are putting bandanas on because of the dirt. And we were like, we're ready. And like within fucking 10 seconds, each of us were at different corners of the fucking crowd. It was nuts, man. It was just like the most intense show I'd been to at the probably even to this point. And this was like 12 years ago. And my brother, I have asthma, so like the dirt's flying everywhere. I'm hard to breathe. My brother saw me and he said that I looked like I was drowning. Like I'm like coming up for air from the dirt just to like breathe. And he's like, yeah, like I was getting ready to like ask for someone for an inhaler for you. Like fortunately I didn't die. I didn't have an asthma attack. But that was the closest I've gotten to having an asthma attack while having like the time of my life.
Hell yeah.
It's a cool show. It's one of those sets you got to hold on through the songs. Like, okay, again, when that opportunity comes, when the song ends, like I can make it. I'll be right over here to go get some fresh air.
For sure. That might have been the first show I ever like ducked out early, like of a band. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna cross my arms in the back. Yeah. You know, I'm gonna do the old person thing.
I love it. That's where I'm at. That's my go-to.
Just the all right, this is good. All
yeah. It's a toe tapping, head bobbing.
That Portlandia skit where like going home they're at the show and I think the band doesn't start till like 9:30 and they're just like old.
I hate but also love the reaching that point. Teddy. Hey bud. Hey.
What are you doing?
Reaching that point where like a band I like and I'm just like, play that song I like so I can go home. Yeah. Just play that song I like. And then if they play it early, I'm like, okay, the rest of this is like cherry on top. Like I can't remember the last time I stayed for an encore at a show for a headliner that I went to go see.
Yeah. I don't know how I feel about encores anymore. I feel like they're overrated.
They're kind of playing now.
Yeah. It's
like part of the set.
Exactly. It's it's written out on your set list. Like,
I went to go see, I was like in love with Zooey Deschanel, as most like people were in the mid to late 2000s, and her band with M Ward, she and him played a free show during South by Southwest, and it was freezing cold. It was like 40 degrees. It wasn't freezing. It's freezing in terms of Texas terms.
Texas,
yeah. So everyone's super cold. It had rained the night before, so it was still like moist in the air. And they finished their set and they went off and everybody left and they were like, oh shit, we need to come out. We're going to like do an encore thing. And they like run out to like finish and everyone comes back. But everyone's like, we like you guys, but like, can you please finish? We want to go get warm.
It's like, that's just torture at that point.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to play it slower.
Again, you say?
Yeah. All right. Double encore.
I think it was Dance Gavin Dance. I don't know who I was with. It was like 15 years ago. I don't know. But I think it was a show in Austin. We saw them and like the singer asked for like a cigarette or something and like a bunch of people threw cigarettes up. And I think he like put a bunch in his mouth and like lit them and then ate them or something. Yeah. And then they played a song and then he was like, that felt good. Let's do it again. Who has a cigarette? Shit.
My favorite like interaction with the crowd was that same Fun Fest that Refuse played. The Riverboat Gamblers played also. I like knew their name. I just never seen them. Seeing them live made me a fan. But like the lead singer is out. He's like right on the border of where like security is and the crowd is. And some like young girl is like on her phone and he like takes the phone from her and starts talking to the person. It's her mom. And he like has this conversation with her mom. It's like, no, she's at a rock show right now. She'll call you later. She's in good hands. She's fine.
She's fine. Yeah. At a rock show.
I don't even know if that was like what really happened or if it was like just a dead tone, but like I loved it either way.
Yeah. That's cool. It's always cool finding bands. Like I've heard of them, kind of into them, but then live will change them.
Oh yeah,
totally. Yeah, I think Joyce Manor was one for me.
Oh really?
Yeah, like I was listening to him. I was into him a little bit, trying to get into it, and I saw him live. I think at the Rock Box, and I was like, okay, I get it now. Like okay, but yeah, I like put on live versions of or like just full sets on in the house sometimes instead of like the album. 'Cause I think it sounds different. I've heard a thing where like after so many years, the live version is the version that the band's always wanted to play, and like it's just different than like the album one.
For sure. There's a song by The Kinks called Victoria, and the first time I heard it was on How I Met Your Mother had two versions of it. It was like their version and a cover. I'm like, that's a cool song. And then I like Googled it because I wanted to hear it like on YouTube. And I heard the live version. The live version is like 100 times better. I literally bought like that on vinyl just to like get that one song. And I like other songs by them, but like I always like try to find the spot. Yeah. And it's just the most like dad rock I've ever felt. Like I'll be cleaning and I put that on, like have my speakers on like full blast. I'm just like feeling it, man. It's a little bit faster. And I think that's it. I think it's just a little bit faster, and it's you can feel the energy of the crowd. It's real dope.
Yeah, that's sick.
There's this band, Oh Brother. They put out this album, Garden Window, I think in 2011, and they did a live stream where they like played the whole album all the way through, like in a studio, like just together. And I don't know, it was really cool. Like there's like a video thing too that they did, but that's one of my favorite. Like it's not necessarily live, like in a venue, but it's a live performance of that album.
Yeah.
And there's just like subtle differences and like stuff that they've changed over the last 10 years for that, playing it. I don't know, it's like, that's top tier like album from them.
That's dope. I think that that's what I kind of liked about the performances from Cover Stories is that we did them all. Like we didn't overdub anything. I don't think Brett overdubbed anything. He might have added some like effects or something.
Adding guitar.
Yeah.
It's just like, wait a minute, I hear your bass. There's not a bass.
I think like Andrew Sines had told me, he's like, yeah, like he made my voice sound really good. Like, and it gave me like, oh, I don't know if I can actually sing like that live. But yeah, just like, and when we did the Radiohead songs with oh man, I forgot his name, the trumpet guy.
Oh, Tony Romero.
Yeah.
Somebody was just talking about one of those. Like my friend Brian. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw you
tagged it recently.
Posted,
yeah. I mean, it holds up, and that was a good one. I wish we could have done more in that space. That
definitely felt like game changer. And like if we could be able to do this regularly, even that was like 6 months in the making. I felt like we had talked about doing that for a long time.
That's how it works. Production life, dude.
That was really cool though, and just it felt, especially that performance, I mean, the performance was amazing. Everybody was just like on it. I think we did, each song was like 2 takes tops.
Yeah, maybe.
Ooh.
Yeah, it wasn't, it wasn't a long process for each song. It was just a long process altogether. But like watching that, it's like, oh, this looks like something that you'd see on like NPR or like, or even like KVRX to like a lesser extent, So it was cool to like, oh, I could say I was a part of doing this,
Yeah. That'd be cool. We could have been San Antonio's KEXP or whatever.
Yeah, KXP, not KVRX. Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Yeah, my bad.
Yeah, I love those. Those are like, some of the inspiration for the stuff that we did. Like,
oh, yeah.
Like Audio Tree.
Oh, yeah.
Those are fun.
Those are sick.
I don't know if they're still there. I haven't really kept up. I imagine they are.
Yeah, I've seen a few KXPs recently. There's a YouTube channel. I think they stopped doing it, but this was also like a big inspiration for cover stories called Little Elephant. And they would bring bands into their house and record. Yeah, not Little Elephant.
No relation.
Different Little Elephant. But they record 3 or 4 songs, and then they would make a vinyl out of it, and then they'd split 50-50 with the band. And they brought on like really big indie bands, or big like big lower tier indie bands. Like I think Mom Jeans was on there. This band I really liked, Dirty Nil. And just a bunch of those bands. That's how I would go on every like week to find bands that like they had cool band names, so I would check them out, and that's how I became kind of fans.
What was that other one? Triple J? Was it like
from
like
Australia? Yeah, like a version, yeah.
Those were cool too.
Those ones are good. Australia's doing a lot of cool like punk, like garage, like metal kind of stuff. Like, oh, this is cool. Just put on those live versions like that. Like just finding new stuff is sick.
Yeah. I think there's a band called like Violet or Violent Soho.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
They're sick.
They're Australian. I know. I mean, Courtney Barnett is like standard in Australian folklore when it comes to music. We actually, my wife has a friend who lives in Australia, and her fiance, she met her fiance in Australia. He's Australian. And they came and visited us, and like the whole time I'm like playing all the Australian artists that I know, and I like ran out after like day 2. I'm just like, we could just listen to Courtney Barnett again.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Australia. There's something in their water. That's like their music, like King Gizzard, Carnival, or also.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't even realize King Gizzard was Australian.
What's his name?
Oh, Tame Impala.
Yeah,
Kevin Park.
I want to see them live. I want to see them in the Dome. Tame Impala would be sick in the Dome.
Did y'all see Drew Carey?
In the Dome?
I thought Drew Carey his Twitter got hacked because he saw Fish at the Dome, and he tweeted, he's like, this is heaven. This is like the closest I've ever been to God. If I could live in this, I'd give up pussy forever. And I was just like, there's no way Drew Carey said pussy.
2024.
And he like doubled down on it. Like it was really him. He was on like the new At Midnight and was like talking about like, oh yeah, like it was an experience. And they're like, what were you on? And like,
that's sick.
I never, like, that's something I wouldn't expect to like cross off my bingo card. Like Drew Carey saying pussy. Like,
is he still doing? Was he hosting a
Price is
show?
Right?
Yeah, is he still doing that?
I think so.
From the Dome now. He's like, everything's in the Dome.
Fish is
My life now.
Fish is the like, what's it called? Band, the house band.
Yeah, right. That'd be cool.
But I love the comments in there were like, no one even like suggested like, oh, did he get hacked? Like everyone was just like, no, this is absolutely Drew Carey, and it was. Yeah. But my favorite comment was like, I can just imagine some like 80-year-old woman who loves Price is Right. Like, oh, Twitter, I'm gonna follow Drew Carey. What does he have to say?
Or just double taking at the concert, like,
oh yeah,
is that Drew Carey? Like, just losing his mind in the Dome.
Who would y'all like to see at the Dome?
Teddy. Oh, try to sneak up in here.
Oh, let's see.
Shoot. I don't know.
I feel like Daft Punk would be amazing.
Ooh, yeah. And like cool visuals, like, yeah.
Rammstein
would be nice.
Apparently their live shows are like insane.
Yeah, that's what I've heard.
Whoa. If they can do like, Ozzy's still alive, but if they could do like hologram shows and have like a 70s version or 80s version of them performing, I'm just like, what the fuck? That'd be wild.
I think pre-Nazi Kanye would be fun. Yeah. Like, I feel like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy era Kanye would be amazing.
Yeah, like a whole production on that would be sick.
It'd be sick.
I love when bands play, or musicians in general play like an album live. Like They do like an anniversary tour or something. They just play the whole thing through.
Yeah.
That shit's fun. I don't know. That'd be sick.
That's become a thing, like more and more. Like I think the We Were Young Fest, I think almost every set is going to be an album set this year. Yeah. I think.
Rest up those knees.
Is My Chemical Romance doing Black Parade? I think maybe, I don't know, but yeah, I like that too. It's fun to like experience that. I've seen it a couple of times. I saw Cursive do Ugly Organ one time. I felt like I can't remember who else I saw. I've seen Get Up Kids do a couple of their albums. They're doing it again in San Antonio and Austin in August. But yeah, it's really cool to see that. And Motion City Soundtrack's doing that too.
Oh, cool.
They're doing I Am the Movie, which is my favorite Motion City soundtrack, which I know is a hot take, but I'm also old, so like I feel like I mentioned that to like younger people, like, oh, like I Am the Movie's my favorite, and they're like, really? I'm like, I like it. It's my favorite first album by them.
Oh, big balls. Hell yeah.
Kate's just popping up like a groundhog. Like,
hell yeah. We need more dogs in this podcast.
That'd be sick.
Dogcast.
Just
you got to delete that. We don't want anyone to take that idea.
Right. Yeah. I'm just going to bleep it.
Yeah.
New idea.
But yeah, man, I think I'm excited just about, the podcast. I'm excited to record again, and I'm excited to kind of get back in the groove of things and to learn more about music. I don't know. I don't want to give any away, but like the first episode that we're doing right after this, it took me like kind of on a trip. They're all songs I know, or most of them are songs I know, and they're songs. Some of them are songs that like I appreciate, but doing the research and seeing what they're like really about is like making me listen to them different already, without even talking to our guests.
I'm excited to see where it goes. Should be fun.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be happy to just produce and not have to talk into a microphone. But I mean, like you're talking about doing interviews and stuff, like how you came around on that, and like it's your favorite part kind of thing. Like me doing this podcast, it's like I'm just doing it out of necessity because like I don't know, I'm just gonna get someone else to host it.
You're good at it though. I mean,
I'm all right. I don't know. I feel I am skeptical about my interview abilities. Luckily, plenty of people can just talk and like carry a conversation for me, and I can just ask a random question here and there.
Yeah, I think that's something too. Just adapting. We did some episodes where people would just talk. I just give like a cue, like, oh, what about this? And then they would talk for 2 minutes, which is great. Like I love that. It made like my job easier. And then there are some people where you really had to like reach in, but when you could get to that point where they like it clicks, like I felt like, oh, this is like rewarding because it's like a game almost.
Yeah, it's like that engaging aspect of it. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, one of my favorite episodes was with Yellow Roses when we were talking and just in talking and I felt like this was like our second or third episode, so I was still trying to get into the groove of things, and like I randomly mentioned like LA punk bands, and he was like, I'm not really into like the Germs or anything. I was like, well, shit, like he was from LA. This is a dead end. Then I mentioned like Lookout Records, and like I just randomly, when I think of Lookout Records, I think of Groovy Ghoulies. He's like, dang, Kepi Ghoulie gave me this tattoo. I was like, oh shit, like this is perfect. Like that was amazing. That's when I felt like we kind of, from my perspective at least, like I started like getting more confident with like my interviewing style and things like that.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I'll get there eventually one day. Right?
No, I think, I mean, you're a good moderator. I feel like there's no lulls. There's times where I feel like I am filling up space just to fill up. And I feel like that's like a stereotypical podcaster thing where, someone will spend 2 minutes to ask a question when they could have just said the question in 10 seconds. But it's really them trying to figure out what the question is.
Just like the wheels turning in your head. Like,
yeah.
Yeah, that's what editing's for.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We talked about doing like a joke kind of one where it's like just awkward pauses and like just weird like cuts and stuff. Have way too many different camera angles. We might do that. It'd be fun to do like some experimental like stupid episodes here and there. Yeah. Maybe just be on YouTube.
What's his name from Tim and Eric did that. He did a whole like Joe Rogan parody.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
It was basically that for like he's like talking for 10 minutes and then he asks a question and that's like you could have asked that in 2 seconds.
He did. I think he made fun of Bill Maher's thing, right? His like whatever couch talk show thing that he does now.
Oh, really?
I think so. I forgot what it was called, but they were like making fun of him.
Oh, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
You're talking about what is it? After Hours or something? That podcast or no?
This was something different. This was like a isolated sketch.
Oh.
He did like a 30-minute. it was 30 minutes that they recorded, but they looped it for like 10 hours.
That's awesome. We're at about like 50 minutes right now, and we're pretty decent.
Yeah, it's just fun. It's a nice warm up too, in terms of like having to like gear to next episode. You know, I'm a little worried just about getting back into the groove of things, because there's one time we took a break, and I came back, and I had like, my asthma was really bad at that time, and I felt like I felt bad because I felt like after every question, or after a time anybody would say something before I'd ask a question, I would take this like big gasp. I'm like, I hope they don't think I'm like, oh, okay, like great answer.
Here's the next one.
Yeah. But I hear it, and I hear myself, and I'm just like, God, these sighs. They're not sighs. They're just like, I can't breathe.
Yeah, trying to survive over here.
I was in the process of getting like a CPAP machine, like for real. Like my sleep apnea is there, but it's not as bad as it was.
Yeah, one of my close friends got one recently, or maybe like in the last year or so. But he did like a sleep study where he like did like an overnight thing, and they monitored him and all that. I
did the sleep study, and then the people that were supposed to give me a machine never called me, and then I felt better. I'm like, I don't need to spend money on this time. To save it where I can.
For sure, yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm not familiar with that. I remember my mom had one of those like growing up.
Oh yeah.
But luckily I sleep fine.
Yeah.
I've been trying to sleep on my back more lately. I don't know.
It's too hard.
I've got pillows that I sandwich on the sides of me so I don't roll over.
Oh, nice.
It helps. It works.
The boyfriend pillow.
Yeah.
It's better for you to sleep on your back?
I believe so. I mean, I'm pretty sure it's like the only good way, because I think everything else is bad. Yeah.
Because I knew there was a way to do it. I just wasn't sure which way it was. I can't sleep on my back for shit. Like, and I have this weird thing too, where like, if anything is on my chest when I'm laying down, I feel like I'm like being suffocated. Like, you can put a pillow on my chest, and I feel like, I don't know if that's psychological or
sleep
if
paralysis demon kind of feeling.
I've never been like diagnosed with sleep paralysis. I don't know if you get diagnosed, but I feel like I definitely had sleep paralysis at a few points in my life, and it was always when I was binge watching a TV show. And I swear, like, it's gonna sound, saying this out loud right now, it's gonna sound so stupid, like, but I got really into Lost like years after it ended, and I swear the smoke monster was like my paralysis demon, and like, it was there, and I knew it wasn't real, but it wouldn't go away, and it got so annoying. And then like a few weeks later, I was binging Breaking Bad, and there's people in hazmat suits in my like, you know, like, and I'm just like, I know this isn't real, but like, what do I need to do to get rid of this? Yeah. Am I asleep or am I not asleep? Is this a dream? No, it's not a dream. Like,
second guessing reality.
Yeah.
That's wild.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me on, man.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah,
I love everything you guys are doing. You know, I mean, big fan.
Thanks. We're trying.
We had an Airbnb, and we had you guys' zines in there too.
Oh, nice.
Cool.
No one ever said anything about them, but I mean, they were there for people to check out. So hopefully you got some more like viewers out of it.
Wait for someone to like. Well, that should be a question. Like, where'd you hear about the zine or something, so we can kind of
that'd be cool.
Track that. Not important, but curious.
That was one thing we wanted to do. I'm definitely not like. I mean, I feel weird like admitting we had an Airbnb, just in terms of like everything that's going on. but we wanted to do, it was like, we felt like we should like owed it to the community in Central Texas. And so if anyone else has an Airbnb out, you should do this. Get local artists' paintings and then put like QR codes, basically create a gallery so people can check it out. I think that would be a really cool idea.
Cool.
That is great. I like that. Hell yeah. Sure. Well, cool. Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks,
fun.
Man.
Thanks.
I'm excited to do this next podcast.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
See how it goes.
It's going to be dope.
Anything you want to plug or anything in the back?
So check out Co-op Radio in Austin. It's really great community. They do a lot of cool stuff. Check out Mixtape Stories coming out soon. Check out the Cover Stories YouTube in the meantime. Or check out Cover Stories still on, the podcast is still on too. And I do photos now. My Instagram is We Done Worser. Check that out. WEDONEWORSER.
Cool.
All right. And the outro plays.
Yeah, we need. Let's do music.
Cool.
We'll get music. Yeah. Brian, where you at?
If you don't, I'll get AI to do it.
And I'll hate it.
Yeah.